Hi friends, my name is Rylie Schroeder. Welcome to my channel about all things living in Houston. I'm a local Houston real estate agent. I was also born and raised in the area, so it's safe to say I know Houston like the back of my hand. So whether you're considering a move to Houston, your job's relocating you, or you already live here and you're just trying to find the best spot for you and your lifestyle, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. I do drop videos weekly. And hit the like button too for anyone who's like you, considering a move to Houston, wondering what it's like to live here, so that they can find my videos as well. Guys, I have helped so many people move to Houston, relocate to Houston, and I would love to help you too, but you gotta reach out. So this number will connect you directly to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text or an email, whatever is most comfortable for you. Day, night, weekend, I am always here and I have your back when moving to Houston, Texas. Number one, and I feel like this should be the most obvious, but it might not be, and that's Houston really is just that big. Our actual square mileage is larger than New York City. It spans over 9,000 square miles, so it's gigantic. When we're thinking of Houston Metro, we're not just thinking of the inner loop and places that have the Houston city. We're talking about Sugar Land, Katy, the Woodlands, down to Clear Lake area. So it really is that big, 9,000 square miles. It takes an hour to get from Houston to Houston. That's a real thing. So keep in mind, a lot of people are commuting for this reason. A lot of people live in Katy or Sugar Land or the Woodlands and commute into downtown for their jobs. So keep in mind you'll probably be commuting because it's so big. Houston is actually huge, which leaves a ton of options for you to consider when you're thinking about where to live, depending on your lifestyle, your budget, things like that. There is a spot for everyone because Houston is just that big. That's gonna feed into my number two. If you're moving to Houston, you're gonna wanna know there's inside the loop and there's outside the loop. So there's literally just a circle that goes around the main part of Houston and it's called the loop. So the inside of the loop, you're gonna find a lot of affluent neighborhoods, mostly very expensive homes, especially for a good and safe area. So you have River Oaks, you have the Heights, you have Timber Grove, you have Rice Village, you have Edo. So a lot of good places to live in the Heights. Probably gonna max out your budget depending on what you're looking for. And you might not have the biggest yard space unless you're about to spend a couple $1 million, which totally doable if that's the case. So that's inside the loop. This is also where downtown is gonna be, Montrose, Midtown. So a lot of businesses, a lot of things to do, places to eat. This is where the arena is, where we have the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and all of that happens inside the loop. So you'll wanna be able to differentiate the inner loop and what's outside of the loop, which is pretty much everything else. You got inside the Beltway, you have Briar Forest, Oak Forest, Pasadena, Memorial, awesome places. Memorial High School has very great ratings. You also have all of Houston Metro, which are the burbs. So Humble, the Woodlands, Conroe, Magnolia, Cypress, Katy, Sugar Land, Pearland, even going into these really smaller towns that are a good hour from Houston. But as I mentioned, Houston's an hour from Houston. It's really big and you'll want to be able to know inside the loop and outside of the loop. And that gears me right up for number three. You should know Houston's nicknames. So we are called the Space City for none other than we are home to NASA's Johnson Space Center. It's down near the Seabrook Kemah area, and actually a really fun day activity to take the kids or to explore yourself if you've never been. We're also called the Bayou City. We actually have 10 waterways that flow throughout Houston through a part of downtown. And I think a lot of people don't know that. I think a lot of people expect that to be Louisiana, but Houston is under sea level and we've got bayous flowing throughout. So that actually has led to some flooding in the past. So we're widening the bayous and a lot of things like that. But Space City and Bayou City are two of our nicknames that we go by. So if someone refers to, oh, you're moving to the Space City, you are absolutely right. We are the Bayou City and the Space City. Number 4 on my list, and I just gotta mention it, y'all, It's so humid, and it's something for you to prepare for, because as I've traveled around the US, there's nothing like it. I lived in Dallas for a brief period of time, and even Dallas, which is in Texas, is not as wet and does not have as much moisture as Houston does. It's a lot drier. So it's something you should prepare for, because we are so close to the coast. We have a lot of humidity. This is wonderful for the skin. Keeps your skin really moist, very dewy looking, but it is horrid on the hair. To all my ladies and anyone else that cares, it can be a struggle for the humidity. So it's something to keep in mind, and it'll take some getting used to. I know my boyfriend may or may not carry a couple shirts to work every day to change in and out of, because it's so hot and humid. I'm sorry for blasting you right now, babe. But something to keep in mind and something to prepare for. It's a little bit different unless you're moving from another coastal city. It might be a little bit of a shock to you. Let's talk about number 5 on my list, which is H-E-B is our grocery store, and that is unique to Texas. We are very loyal to H-E-B. They have their own aisle of their own made product, H-E-B made products, and they're some of the best in the grocery store. I have had people structure their entire home search around how far they are to an H-E-B. It is the main grocery store, so it's not that crazy, but also H-E-B is just naturally superior in Houstonian minds because of everything they have to offer. They're also a huge support to the community, to the Texans, to the Astros, and are always helping out, which can kind of lead me to like a 5.1. The best furniture store in all of the United States is in Houston, and that's Gallery Furniture and our good old Mattress Mac. Mattress Mac is a pillar of this community. He helps out all the time. We'll even go to other states to lend a helping hand, and all of their furniture is made in America, which is something he loves to get out there. So also has one of the best Mexican food restaurants attached to it. This is Lopez. Gotta check it out. I know I've touched on how great Tex-Mex is in Houston, and Gallery Furniture has all that. So H-E-B, Gallery Furniture, we are very loyal Houstonians because we've got some really awesome businesses here. Number 6, I think we're on, would be, we have the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. What a time, y'all. As I'm recording this video, it's actually going on. It's the entire month of March, plus a couple weekends with the cook-off and things like that, and it is so much fun. This is one of the largest rodeos in the world. But even if rodeo is not your thing, it is for a lot of Houstonians, but even if it's not your thing, there's a concert, there's carnivals, there's an art exhibit, and a ton of good food. So tell me food's not your thing and I think you're lying. Lots of fun to go check out just during the day. Ferris wheel, rides, games, great for kids. Then again, the art exhibit, lots of award-winning food. But then the rodeo and the concerts are a ton of fun. They actually structure the time that all of that starts around the workday schedule, so you can even go after work. You don't have to take off. And that's unique to Houston. It is so fun and something you gotta check out once you move to Houston. Next on my list, if you're considering a move to Houston, you're never too far from a beach, and I think that's pretty awesome. So any day you wanna beat the heat, because Houston is that hot, you can get away to Galveston. It's most of the time an hour or less from most places to get to Galveston Beach. If you're in the Woodlands or Conroe, Magnolia, it's gonna be a little bit further. But Houston, Katy, Sugar Land, you're about an hour to get there, which is awesome. Great way to beat the heat. The Strand in Galveston has a lot of fun shops, great things to do for kids. They have festivals year round, which are really cool to check out. And we also host Mardi Gras in Galveston, which I don't think a lot of people know. It's not as intense as New Orleans, or maybe it is actually. This last year I went, it was a little crazy. So a lot of fun to check out Galveston, whether you're looking for the Strand, some nightlife, or just the beach. You can get on the beach free in most places. And Galveston has a cruise port, so you don't even have to get on a plane to travel to another country. Just drive down to Galveston, hop on a cruise boat, and you're good to go. So I love the fact that Galveston's pretty easy to get to from Houston and beat the heat on the beach. 8, you need to know that if you're moving to Houston, and even if you're gonna live in Pearland or the Woodlands, you're still considered a Houstonian. But yes, no matter where you live in Houston, you're considered a Houstonian. These small towns, a lot of the suburbs, people don't know about them. It's a lot easier to just say, I'm from Houston, Texas. Everyone knows Houston, Texas. So something to keep in mind, no matter where you're considering living, you will be tried and true Houstonian. Let's talk about number 9. If you're moving to Houston, something you should know about is our extreme weather. So we have hurricanes and we have flooding. We are on the coast at the end of the day, and hurricane season lasts from May to November every single year. Does this mean a catastrophic, really horrible hurricane happens every year? No, not necessarily. It does mean that they're possible, and we do get them. So it's something you should prepare for. And like I mentioned previously, for the Bayou City, we have these bayous, and whenever we have these extreme either hurricanes or just flooding events where it drops a lot of rain on us a short period of time, those bayous can fill up and flood. Places like Maryland have been flooded pretty bad in the past. They have widened bayous in a lot of those spots and taken necessary steps to fix these flooding events. But no matter where you're at, it's a threat. I'm always gonna always suggest getting flood insurance, no matter where you're at in the Houston area. A lot of people think just when you're on the coast, it's the biggest scare, but Hurricane Harvey, which hit us in 2017, sat over Conroe and the Woodlands and hit them worse than some places more south like Pearland. So you can't really get away from it. That's why I say it's something you should not only be prepared for, but take precautions around, like flood insurance. And those bayous, we'll have flood zones. We have 100-year and 500-year flood zones, which some require you to get flood insurance, some don't. And then we have outside of flood zones, and even some of those still flood. So again, you should take precautions, you should be prepared, because Houston does have that extreme weather. We get a lot of rain, and sometimes when it's a lot in a short period of time, homes are flooded, and you need to take precautions around that. Moving right along, number 10 on my list is all of our professional sports. So we have football, baseball, men and women's soccer, and basketball. So this is year round. You can go check out professional sports. It's something to know if you're really interested in, but also something to plan around. Whenever we're having these live events or bigger events, you're not gonna wanna go near where those stadiums are because the traffic and everything gets just crazy. But a lot of fun if that's your thing, something you could plan for and look forward to as well. Even if you don't go watch a game live, which you totally should, especially Astros games. We're 2-time World Series winners, by the way. Even if you don't want to go watch live, it's really fun to go out on a patio, enjoy a nice day like it is today. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is 70 degrees. We got to take advantage of these days when we get them, because normally it's just hot and humid. But such a good fun time to go to the patio. They normally have all the games playing, and it's a lot of fun. Another thing you should know if you're considering moving to Houston, Houston does not have zoning laws, and that's pretty unique to Houston compared to a lot of the rest of the US. So you're gonna find a high-rise corporate office building, sometimes right next to a single family home, right next to an apartment complex, right next to a Target. So we don't have zoning laws. It makes for some very unique scenery to look at. Houston is named the concrete jungle, and they packed a lot within the Houston city limits, but there are no zoning laws. So you'll get one thing here and another thing there, and that's really unique. So something you should know. Number 12 on my list is that there is no income tax. So that's a plus, but also there is property tax. So I've had a lot of people move in from out of state, as I've mentioned, and the property tax does shock them a little bit. In general, our tax burden is less than everywhere in the US except for 4 states. So overall tax burden when considering sales, income, and property tax, it's actually less. But we do have property taxes, and that can take some people by surprise. You're normally looking between 2 and 4% property taxes. You can avoid the high ones, you can avoid the low ones. There are pros and cons of both, but it is something to be aware for and start to prepare for and ask your realtor about. Most communities with the super high property tax, 3.5, 4, 5, really haven't seen it above 5 very often. Those are gonna be brand new communities that have just been built. They just established a mud district. The mud district is the underground pipes that feed your water into your houses. So that's normally where you're gonna find the higher ones. You're gonna get lower tax rates in more established communities. So most often I would say I'm seeing around 2.5, 3%, but it totally can be lower if you're okay with a more established community, a little bit older house, totally possible, something to prepare for. I should probably follow that up with Houston really is affordable. And that's gonna be my number 13 on things you should know if you're considering moving to Houston. It really is affordable. Our cost of living and our average home price is actually less than the national average. Our average home price is $344,000 as of January 2023, and you can get some good house for that. You can't in a lot of other states, right? So you could get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a good yard built in the last 20 years in one of our suburbs for $344,000. So your buck goes a long way. Our cost of living is lower than most places as well. So you're not spending a ton at the grocery store, and it's not so bad. So keep that in mind. You got a lot of bang for your buck. As I'm saying this, my dog's sitting here just like staring at me in the window, like, are you gonna let me in yet? What are you doing? Do you wanna come inside? I'm sorry, I'm not done yet. Something else you need to know if you are considering a move or moving to Houston, and that is the commutes are long. As I mentioned, my number one reason, Houston's just so big. It's really hard to avoid. It spans over 9,000 square miles. Most people are living out in these suburbs and commuting into downtown, but even if you live inside of the Beltway or inside of the Loop, it's still pretty congested to get where you need to go. I live in the Heights, and River Oaks is just a couple miles away. It's still gonna take me 25 minutes to get there during the heat of traffic. So it's something to keep in mind. Know the freeways. Talk about how long think about how long you're comfortable sitting in the car for that commute each and every day. And a lot of people plan their home search around that. It's gonna be something I imagine that you'll want to do as well. So think about how long you're comfortable sitting in that car in the mornings and the evenings. If you don't commute during rush hour, a lot of times you can avoid it. We also have toll roads that can make the commute faster, and HOV lanes if you have someone you can carpool with, which can make it a lot faster too. But it's something you should prepare for. A lot of people structure their home search around it. So start thinking about that compared to where you're gonna work and how long you want to sit in the car every day. Last but not least, the 15th thing you should know if you're moving to Houston is you can pick your own energy company. So this actually happened in 1999, kind of for deregulation, keeps the price down, allows the consumer to choose. So that's actually pretty unique to Houston, as well as a lot of other things I've said in this video. I always recommend my clients go to powertochoose.org. You can type in your home specs, and they're gonna give you a ton of different options. It is something to research, maybe look into a little bit more before deciding, but that's a great place to start. Once you have power at your home and you've gotten a couple bills, there's a place called Energy Ogre that actually analyzes your bills and can figure out how much they can save you by switching you to a different company. Or they can let you know that they're not gonna save you anything at all, but a lot of times they can actually save you a ton of money. So that's something to keep on your list too. After deciding, after living somewhere for a couple months and getting those bills, go ahead and get with Energy Ogre and actually lower your monthly energy bill. So it's honestly really cool, keeps the costs down. There are a lot of things to keep in mind, like how old your home is, the age of your HVAC unit, how new or old your windows are, things like that keep your house cool. Houston is hot. We're using a lot of our AC and a lot of energy. So energy bills can be a little bit higher, but that's why you get to choose. Guys, I have helped over 100 families, couples, and individuals moved to Houston, Texas since 2019, and I love, love, love doing it. And I would love to help you too, but the only way I can do that is if you reach out. So this number connects you directly to me. Shoot me a text, give me a call, shoot me an email, whatever you are most comfortable with. I want to have your back when moving to Houston, Texas. So that's it for me today, guys. Until my next video, I'll see you later.